Welcome to the Power of One. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Lokia Owens, who is creating a documentary called Save the Black Girl. Unfortunately, we are faced with some horrible times in the city of Philadelphia and around the world, where so many of our young African American women are being affected in so many ways. Please welcome Ms. Owens to the show. Ms. Owens, please tell me a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
My name is Lokia Owens. I'm born and raised right here in Philadelphia. I'm a mom. I'm a student for film and communications. I produce a few podcasts, and I am currently working on a documentary I just received funding for from Scribe Video Center called Save the Black Girl.
Tell me why you wanted to do this documentary, and that name, that title that you chose, so powerful. Please tell me the meaning behind Save the Black Girl.
Well, the title came because I raised two kids by myself, and I had mental health issues I knew nothing about. I didn't know how to recognize them or anything like that. My aunt passed away way too early, and she suffered from mental health issues. So I just always go back to that. If we knew and we could see it and we could do something about it, we could have saved her. And maybe not, but that's just my meaning behind the title. I wish that we knew and we could help and we could save them.
Okay. In your documentary, what do you focus on?
Mental health.
Okay.
That's the main focus.
Okay. So mental health, mental illness is a major issue.
Right.
And when it's undiagnosed and untreated, it can show in many different ways where people do not know how to handle certain situations with those individuals. In your documentary, will you actually have some people who suffer from mental illness?
Well, that's a great question. I know when people hear mental illness, we think of the big stuff like schizophrenia or like dementia or something like that. But mental illness is deeper than that. And a lot of us suffer from it and we don't even know it. That tap that we sometimes do, like when we're thinking, I know you've seen the tap with the leg or whatever, sometimes you do, or overthinking, that's all a part of mental health. You know what I mean? So the point of it is kind of like, if we can take notice of the small things, then it doesn't become like this much bigger thing. You know what I mean? So the women in this documentary, they're dealing with depression and anxiety and PTSD, and they may not even know it, but they're dealing with a mental illness. And if it goes unchecked, it could become a violent situation. However, these women are working through this stuff with no violence, So I guess the answer is yes. We're going to have women that are dealing with mental illnesses, but the small mental illnesses that we sometimes overlook.
Okay. So we're living in a time in Philadelphia where it's very frightening, and it's alarming. I'm born, raised, still reside in West Oak Lane. And here I am with my grandchildren on my porch, and we're just playing on my porch. So my 3-year-old granddaughter, she's 3 going on 33. So she walks down to like the sidewalk. She walks off the porch and she says, Mimi, I'm just going to check out the scenery. So we're just looking up and down the block. So then my grandson comes behind her. He's 5. So we're looking up and down the block. And just overhead, it's the Channel 6 helicopter. And I said, come on, it's time to go in the house. Mind you, in the evening, broad daylight. But these are the times that we are living in right now, Ms. Owens, and that is frightening. That gives me anxiety. That gives me pause where I do not want to come outside. In your documentary, are you speaking to women who have lost a child to gun violence? Or are you speaking with women who are on the edge now because of all the gun violence that's taken place in the city of Philadelphia?
So this specific So just to break it down, it's the main goal is mental health, but I'm going to sneak in some issues that we're dealing with in our community. You know, gun violence is one of them. So it might not be women that are going, my anxiety is high because of gun violence, but it will be a woman that's dealt with gun violence firsthand and how she's maintaining her anxiety, her PTSD and stuff like that. She is affected directly from that gun violence, as we all are, because a lot of the people that I talk to now, and I'm sure you do too, are all like everyone's anxiety is extremely high in Philadelphia right now. And gun violence is one of the reasons why. So it'll be like this woman who's dealing with it mentally, but it's because of the gun violence. And that just be one episode.
Okay. Now, with your mental illness, what is the goal? And will you have resources for someone who views this documentary and that may say, oh my, I'm going through that. And will you be able to have resources for people who will see your documentary for them to get help?
Yes. I will have with anything related to something that has to do with mental health. You see that thing at the end of the show with the credits roll and they say, if you're dealing with this issue, here's some numbers to call. We're definitely going to do that for the documentary. And each episode that deals with one specific issue, there'll be some information attached to the documentary. However, I also wanted to produce a podcast where we can dig deeper into each individual person's life, and we can provide even more information for where they could get help at, some personal information for where they could get help at, maybe a number they can call specifically for them to get help. We'll also have doctors there to answer questions and stuff like that. It's important to have a professional point of view as well.
Okay, so you'll have multiple series. And how did you pick the individuals to be a part of your documentary?
Well, unfortunately, I know these people. No, I don't know all of them firsthand, but one of the episodes, my cousin is one of the people. One of the episodes, a young lady who my son and my daughter and her son, they went to school together, and he just made it out of high school and he was murdered. So these are people that I know, or I have some type of connection with because I know somebody close to them or something like that. So that's how I picked the women to be in it. However, every time I talk to somebody, someone else wants to be a part of it. So, and then some women that I work with as well, they want to be a part of it in some way.
How many series will you have?
It depends. We have a lot of issues that we could touch on in the community. So far, I've added 5 that we could talk about, gun violence being one of them, rape and sexual misconduct, the underfunded education system, Black women make less money than every other demographic of women. You know what I mean? So I have a couple right now, but we could go on and on forever. It depends on the funding that I can raise because it's expensive. So it depends on the funding that I can raise, and it depends on the need for my community. This might be a hot button issue this year. In 10 years, there might be a different hot button issue that we need to focus on. And I want to continue to raise awareness within my community as long and as much as possible.
Where will your documentary be shown?
Well, this first episode, I am going to post it on YouTube, of course. That's a great platform for you to use for people to be able to watch it for free. And I can use that to then raise money to then make it to a bigger platform. But this is just my initial one. I don't want to take on too much. So I'm not even going to focus on, I'm going to just believe that it's who's supposed to see it is going to see it. I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'm going to try to get my hands on some more grant money so that I can build a bigger platform and put it out somewhere else so more eyes could see it.
Okay. So now when you speak about mental illness and the first series, it focuses on mental illness. Give us a little snapshot about what that would entail.
You're talking about the first episode specifically? Yeah. Okay, so the first episode is about a young lady named Shawana. She lost her son, like I said, I think now it was 5 years ago. He was just graduating high school. He had a baby on the way. and he lost his life. It was some type of street stuff. I don't want to put too much out, but it was some type of street stuff. And so what we're going to do is follow her. We're going to talk to her story. We're going to dig into what happened that day. It's specifically about the event that happened that caused this PTSD or whatever she's dealing with now. So we're going to talk about that day. We're going to have her playing with a grandchild. We're going to really get to know this person in this little tiny bit of time. We're going to also talk to some professionals who deal with this stuff on a professional level that can say, these are the women that I work with. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. And then we're going to cut back to Shawana. We're going to see her going to a meeting. We're going to see her using her platform that she's trying to grow to help other women who deal with this. We're going to see her playing with a grandbaby. She's living her life now. Her son is gone, but she's trying to figure out how to prevent this from happening to somebody else. So it'll be a up, a down, a up. You know what I mean? It'll be like, I feel so horrible about the situation. And that's what we want. We want empathy. We want you to feel something. And then you'll see her living her life now the best that she can.
Okay. And being in the victim services world, you have every co-homicide survivor is different. Mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, siblings. And you have some that have to take it hour by hour after the tragic incident. And you have some that are able to use that experience and they want to speak to others and tell others about their horrible ordeal. So it's very unique. Now, will you also have, and I said, I know your first mother is someone who has lost their child to gun violence. Will you also have someone on the other side that has lost their child to gun violence and has had that mental strain, but is now doing well?
Well, she's doing well.
Okay.
She's doing well as far as I know, unless she's not, I don't know, maybe she's not telling me something, but she's doing well. She's trying her best to help other mothers that have been through it. You know what I mean? However, it kind of depends. This is still the pre-production part.
Right.
So there is a possibility that it could switch up and I could use more than just one mom, and all their stories could be completely different. All the same issues, but their outcomes and the way they're handling the situation could be completely different. So you never know. The idea could grow, but the main character right now is Shawana, and as far as I know, and as best as she can, she's doing well.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Because sometimes it's an experience that will turn your life upside down in losing a child. So, Ms. Owens, what message do you have or will you have for those young African-American young women who will watch your documentary?
You know what? When I was growing up, I had a lot of self-esteem issues that I didn't attribute to self-esteem. It was more like, girl, get over it. Girl, you cute or whatever. It's deeper than being cute. You know what I mean? So I want young women who watch this to I want them to understand where their value comes from. I want them to love themselves first. I want them to understand how important building their self-esteem is. Specifically for young girls, I really think that self-love and how we teach it to them and what they get from it is extremely important. If they learn to love themselves first, then they could just emulate that to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? People who are in desperate situations, they just make bad decisions. But if you love yourself and you know where you're going, you know who you are, you make great decisions. Or at least
agree. I agree. And I think that sometimes there are young ladies who are looking at a Beyonce. They're looking at a Nicki Minaj. And I'm not saying anything bad towards them, but I don't think they understand that's entertainment. That's what that is. That is entertainment. When they walk on their stage, they're airbrushed. They're wearing those outfits for a reason. So I agree that we need to love on these young African-American women. We need to let them know that you respect yourself so other people respect you. And you dress modest. You can still dress modest and be sexy. You know what I mean? Like, and carry yourself in a way that requires other people to respect you.
Right.
And you hold yourself to a high standard. Not saying that you're conceited,
right?
But you're not going to be able to walk all over me. You're not going to be able to pull the wool over my eyes because I'm an educated young Black woman and I'm proud of who I am.
Right.
I'm a queen and I come from royalty and I need you to respect that. Right. I need a king to treat me the way that I should be treated. So I think that is so important for our young girls. But then too, Miss Owens, we have some young girls that don't have people in their families.
Absolutely.
To educate them in that way. And they don't have some people, say, in their neighborhood to educate them in that way. I know you said your documentary will be shown on YouTube. Do you have like any other methods, any other ways that you can, creative ways that you can think of to touch these young African American women?
Me and my daughter have a bunch of things coming up. We always have something that we're trying to link into. So we are working on we're working on a foundation. I don't have the name quite down yet, so I don't want to say it yet, but we're working on a foundation where we can provide access for young women to education, where we can help them get help if they need a place to stay, if they need clothes for school, if they need money to eat or whatever, and it'll be specifically for women or young girls. Eventually, I want to work with everybody, but if I can focus on one group of people who I think need help and start there, we can expand. But I think that unfortunately in our community, most of the women are raising the kids. So if we can help the girls get to the point where they make better decisions and they love themselves and you know what I mean, we can get to that point. I just think we can make a turn point. We can make a turning point in our community. I'm not saying it'll fix our issues. Our issues are way deeper than that.
Right.
But you can start somewhere, And
that's important because there are a lot of people who need help immediately. Mm-hmm. So I will encourage you and your daughter to start that program because I know that you can change a whole lot of lives. When we think of people, again, who need that immediate assistance, that's so important and it's needed. It is so needed in the city of Philadelphia when think about a domestic violence victim, whether it's male or female, and the shelters are full, but they need somewhere to go. So you, my friend, are on the right path. Anything you need from me, you just let me know. But it is a great need. I am looking forward to your documentary. I cannot wait to see it and all of the series. But it is my prayer that after you do this documentary, again, you see a need and that tugs on your heartstrings for you to help a young African-American, young men and young women, because I know they're in need of some things and maybe this can change their lives, someone from going down the wrong path or making the wrong decision. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you know how people can access your documentary yet, or that to be continued?
To be continued. However, hopefully we can do this again in just a few months and all that stuff will be set up and I may even have something for you to preview or something like that. Whatever happens, I want you to be the first person to preview this. I really do appreciate your support in this.
No problem. So it's a to be continued because we will have a little snapshot of the documentary and then we will have a link to go to because Ms. Owens is about to shake up Philadelphia and do some amazing things for our young African-American young men and young women. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ms. Owens.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was such an honor to speak to Ms. Owens. It is individuals like that who's going to make a difference, not only in the city of Philadelphia, but around the world. Please remember, the power of one starts with you. Peace.